You know, you'll see that most guitar players do play drums and vice versa. A lot of drummers play bass guitar. You know, they, for some reason, well, it's because it's part of the rhythm section.
Howdy is a friend of Evanescence's drummer, Rocky Gray, and recalls Ben and Amy hunting for musicians.
I remember back 6 years ago when they were looking, it was just, you know, Ben and Amy. You know, they were looking for musicians to play with around town. And I can agree with Amy that, you know, it was just hard to find people because nobody was into what they were doing.
Juanita's is another venue in town where Evanescence played. Erin Hurley is the bookings manager and friend of Ben Moody. He remembers Ben telling him about the changing lineup of musicians.
I can remember Ben saying, you know, at one time that if the band wasn't happy with whatever they were doing, they can leave. You know, it was that apparent. And I guess that was the first time that I realized, okay, this is Evanescence, it's Ben, it's Amy, it's, you know, these other cats are like hired guns.
One of those hired guns was Nick Williams.
I left primarily because of, you know, like I did have a need to express myself creatively and to be able to be a part of the writing process. And just having somebody else tell you what to do, at that point, you know, they were a garage band. You know, so when you're playing for somebody for free, being told what to do, you know, and you see your opportunity somewhere else to go and do it your own, that's what I chose to do.
Through the grapevine, you know, I heard that they couldn't find a drummer, they couldn't find other guitar players, bass players, other people to play, you know, musicians around town, you know, to play with them because, you know, nobody was into what they were doing.
With support from local record label owner Brad Cavanis, Evanescence decided to make Origin, a self-produced EP.
Brad helped them fund some of these early EPs because he wanted to sell some of them at their gigs. Brad's smart because he realized early on, these kids are pretty good. So I admire Brad for that.
I had honestly no idea what to expect when I heard it because I was thinking, as far as I knew at this time, Ben Moody was, you know, the vocalist for all I knew. So, but I walk in and they play it, and of course, big creepy organs and all this, and you know, these kind of swirling effects, and on top of all that, Amy Lee's incredible vocalist.
Those early recordings, what they called EPs or extended plays, Ben and Amy did in our home or in Ben's home. Ben's parents' house, in the garage, or Amy would stand in a closet and sing. And so they came up with these CDs, and they pretty much did everything on them. They would use whatever guitars they would find around here and use the piano, and Ben would create drum tracks on a drum machine and lay down bass tracks. It was all just the two of them.
You know, the first time I popped it in, I knew that that was something different. You know, I was thinking, wow, that's really radio friendly. You know, I'm surprised this is, you know, kind of homegrown.
You'd go to an Evanescence concert and Brad would be out there selling them. And good for Brad, because he would give the kids in the band, Ben and Amy, a cut. They'd get a little cut of it. So they had their little EP thing going.
Kind of knew that they had the potential to go somewhere, and that they had an artistic vision that even if it never became popular, it was certainly worth hearing and worth championing.
Origin is now viewed as a collector's item, with examples swapping hands for hundreds of dollars.
Their early recordings are so valuable. They had an EP, a small record that they put out, and it's just, if I could find it in my stack of CDs around here, I'll bet it's around here. Maybe I could put mine on eBay.
It's one of those things that you just never expected to happen. When they were giving recordings away, it was literally just to push the band, get the name out there. I don't think anybody in their wildest dreams ever thought that something like this would happen.
If you want to, you know, exploit a band like that, you know, and, you know, make yourself look like a dick, man, then go ahead, you know, make some money.
So you see it for $300, $400, $700. I'm thinking, my God, I financed some of that album. I don't even have a copy of my own. I wished I would have, because I'd be Sell them on the internet. I'd be a rich guy.
Following on from the success of their first EP and their limited recording studio in Little Rock, the band headed east to Memphis.
The band's going to make it. I think it's pretty well known around here that you have to go somewhere else. I mean, that's always been the way it is. Maybe that's going to change. And because of Evanescence, maybe it will change.
The band went to Ardent Studios to master their latest demos and by luck were introduced to music producer Pete Matthews, the man who would change their lives forever.
The first time I met Evanescence was here at Ardent. I was doing a record on a band called Dust for Life at the time. I think it was early 2000. And they came here to Ardent to master a self-produced demo that they had done themselves. And the mastering engineer at the time buzzed me in the studio. I was actually in this studio, and said there's this really interesting and different sounding band that just sort of walked in off the street, and you should come take a listen.
It was just after Origin came out, and they packed up and went to Memphis for several months, and they worked there with a heck of a guy named Pete Matthews.
It became a little bit tiresome going back and forth so much, so we decided that to get more consistent work done, that they should move up here. I found them a house and close to Ardent, and we set up a small control room in the back bedroom of the place. We would come here to record at Ardent, you know, when we could, and when there was a little bit of money or a little bit of time open here. But most of it got done in that little house.
Memphis was a pretty good experience for them, I think, professionally, because I mean, I know they learned a lot from Pete Matthews, and certainly they credit him with a lot of their success.
I remember having a lot of people tell me that I was insane for moving this band up to Memphis and you know, and putting all this time and putting all my eggs into one basket, so to speak, and that sort of thing, because I really was, I had so much belief in them, and still do, obviously. They've fulfilled their potential.